In other equally depressing news this week, and we're still so very early in the week, and that's what makes it even more depressing, Ford Motor Company announced that they were going to be laying off thousands of workers, 7,000 to be exact. 7,000 Ford employees, salaried white-collar Ford employees, people making good wages with good benefits, had good jobs. 7,000 are being laid off. 900 alone just this week, 500 of those here in the United States, the remainder working for Ford overseas. So not all 7,000, I guess, are coming from the United States, so I guess that's a plus, right? But I think Bernie Sanders actually did the best job of summing up why this is such a disgusting story. This is what Bernie tweeted on Monday after Ford made this announcement. He said, Ford got nearly $750 million in tax breaks from the Trump tax scam and paid its CEO $18 million last year. Now, Ford is laying off thousands of workers. The bottom line, Republicans sold the tax scam as a way to create jobs and help workers. They lied. And that's 100% correct, because Ford has estimated that this is going to save them $600 million-ish a year, maybe $650 million a year. Yeah, but you already got $750 million in tax breaks from the Republican Party. So even pocketing an extra $750 million a year wasn't good enough for you. You want to save an extra $650 million a year so that you can bring your total savings to $1.4 billion a year? By laying off people, by destroying American jobs, by ruining households, by kicking their top earner out into the street. That's what's happening to the men and women at Ford. And it's happening to 500 of them by Friday of this week. And Bernie's also right in the fact that Republicans promised us corporations were going to save money, but that money was going to go back and it was going to create jobs. They were going to invest in their own companies. They were going to expand. They were going to give you better benefits. They were going to give you bonuses. Remember that? All the hype around the few companies that gave a handful of their employees $1,000 at the end of that year, right after the tax scam passed. Those bonuses didn't come back this past year, and corporations admitted that they weren't going to come back ever. Those were one time. It was basically a publicity stunt, and it worked. Oh, and also fewer than 13% of the companies who got the Donald Trump Republican tax scam cut, only 13% actually spent it on their businesses. The rest of the money went to shareholder dividends and buying back their own stock, which stock buybacks are also at an all-time high, and that's because of the Republican tax scam. They don't care about expanding their businesses. They are already, most of them, the size that they want to be. What they care about, if they're going to invest in their own company, is automation. How do we get rid of the human beings and replace them with a machine? That is happening here. It happens with automotive companies like Ford especially. But the bottom line is that we were lied to. A majority of people in this country do understand that. There's very few people out there today in the middle class or the working class or the underclass who say that, no, this tax scam was a good idea. Even Republicans who are in those demographics say that, no, it was a lie. We're not going to get anything. Nobody buys trickle down anymore, except, of course, for the top 1% and corporations, because they're the only ones who benefit from it. Unfortunately, a lot of members of Congress happen to be in the top 1%, so they all benefited from their own tax cut package. In fact, one of them, the congressman from Florida, whose name escapes me at the moment, the day that he voted for the tax cut package, after he cast his vote, he then left Congress and went and closed on a new yacht. And the yacht happened to be in the same value that he was expected to save under the new tax bill. That's what this was about, putting more money in the pockets of rich people, putting more money into the bank accounts of Ford, not caring one bit whether or not they actually spent that money on their employees or if they kept the jobs that they already had or if they even shipped them overseas. They didn't care. And that's another thing, is that Trump promised us multiple times throughout his presidency that he was going to make Ford keep their jobs here in the United States. Remember, he said it was going to happen with Ford, it was going to happen with Carrier. Pretty much, it was going to happen with Foxconn in Wisconsin, bringing all these new jobs in. Everything Donald Trump has touted of creating jobs or keeping jobs here in the United States has been an absolute lie. But Instead of saying, oh, crud, I'm really horrible at negotiating with these companies, what did he do yesterday after Ford made this announcement? He headed to Pennsylvania to give another one of his hate-filled rallies where at some point they were once again chanting, lock her up. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being obsessed with Hillary Clinton that much here in 2019, in May of 2019, still being obsessed with Hillary Clinton? I don't even care which side of the aisle you're on. Obsession with Hillary Clinton needs to go away now. But nonetheless, he wasn't out there saying that, oh, we do have a problem, companies are cutting jobs and I'm going to have to get tough with them. No. He went into his usual talking points about how great everything is, how much he's kicking China's butt in the trade war, how stupid the Democrats are, how fake the news is. He didn't talk about the fact that everything is a lie. The economy is not doing great. It looks great on paper. But when you actually go out there and you start to look at it, when you read the labor reports, which I hate to admit that I actually have done, it's boring, it's tedious, but they do not paint a picture of a rosy economy. We're not adding jobs that actually matter. In fact, as Ford pointed out this week, we're losing those good jobs and replacing them with minimum wage, seasonal, or temporary workers. The economy is not doing great. But Donald Trump would rather continue whistling past the graveyard, pretending that he's the great economic savior of the United States. And unfortunately, too many people who show up to those MAGA rallies actually believe that.